Right now on Up with KREM, we're taking you outside as a smoky haze fills the sky. Air quality reduced across the region as temperatures soar.
A local thrift store is spending thousands to send unusable donations to the landfill.
We're also getting a lot of the donations that people just would normally throw away. They use me for a dump.
Coming up, why the owner thinks they are getting more donations that he calls junk.
And a booster for the COVID vaccine could be in our future. Today, the FDA will discuss the possibility this morning which vaccines would be recommended for another dose.
This morning, you may notice it is a little bit smokier outside. Here in the inland northwest, the air quality in the unhealthy range.
Now, that means that people might want to limit your time outside today. So this is all happening, of course, because of wildfire smoke traveling to our region from Canada. So it's another hot, hazy day here.
Hot and hazy once again. It feels like we've been saying that a lot lately.
We really have, almost every day. But we got a break.
We did get a break and we were spoiled. Well, hey there, friends. Good morning. Glad to have you here with us. Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo in the Weather Center. He's been watching the air quality forecast very closely for us. Jeremy, where are we sitting right now and what can we expect throughout the day?
All right, a couple things here. First, right now we're at the unhealthy range. That's that reduced visibility that we're seeing around the inland northwest. And second, that kind of sticks around. But the good news is really the only way you can forecast more of a long range out and be accurate is to look at the upper levels of the atmosphere. You can get an overall pattern idea. And the overall pattern returns to the one that brought us that break from some of the wildfire smoke earlier this week, and that one that also brought us those cool temperatures. That upper atmospheric pattern returns next week, so things are looking good. But for now, it's smoke and temperatures on the rise. We're in the 70s in Spokane and Moses Lake, 63 in Coeur d'Alene, 55 in Sandpoint, and still in the 80s in Wenatchee. We'll see a little bit of gusty wind. Most of that gusty wind sticks to north central Washington. Okanagan and Methow valleys under a red flag warning today for the wind, the dry atmosphere, and the heat. Believe it or not, hot temperatures also play a role in fire danger. It elevates it, and that's exactly what we're going to see with our excessive heat warning in place through 8 p.m. on Saturday. Not a cloud in the sky, but it looks like it. That's all of the smoke overhead. And that smoke takes us through the day as temperatures climb. We're in the mid 70s by 9 a.m. By noon, we're close to 90. That's a quick jump. And by this afternoon, temps approach 100 degrees across the inland northwest.
Today, the FDA is expected to authorize a third shot for the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines.
So the booster vaccine would be for people with compromised immune systems. Vaccine providers cannot administer additional doses to anyone under the CDC's current agreement governing the shots.
Now, it's estimated that less than 3% of American adults have compromised immune systems. They often need additional doses of other vaccines even to build sufficient protection against viruses.
Meanwhile, Providence is the latest hospital to announce new visitor policies, and this, of course, due to an increase in COVID cases.
So here are some of the changes that you might see. All non-COVID patients staying at the hospital are allowed to have one visitor a day. Outpatients, emergency and clinic patients can only bring one family member or support person.
Meanwhile, all non-COVID laboring inpatients may have one support person plus one visitor during the labor and birthing process.
Anyone under the age of 18 can have 2 adult visitors per day. However, your underage siblings are not allowed to visit.
Earlier this week, Multicare and Kootenai Health also changed their visitor policies.
Now here in Washington, masks will be required at K-12 public schools, and now even some universities in the inland northwest are following suit. Across the state line, University of Idaho will require masks indoors at the university, whether or not you're vaccinated.
Yeah, so this requirement will be reviewed every 3 weeks and then communicated to students and staff. The school isn't requiring COVID tests this year before students return to campus. School starts again on August 23rd.
Whitworth University here in Spokane will also be requiring masks for everyone in indoor settings of 8 or more people. Whitworth is also requiring that students get the COVID vaccine before returning to class this fall.
Well, the Department of Health also updating the guidelines for sports this fall.
And here's what you need to know. Masks will not be required for vaccinated students at any risk level of sports and not required for any students playing low or moderate risk sports. They will be not required for any outdoor sports as well.
However, unvaccinated students will have to take COVID tests twice a week in basketball, wrestling, and water polo, and that's because those sports are considered high risk. If students don't want to do the screening test, then they'll have to wear a mask.
Now, for everyone else, coaches, trainers, support personnel, they must wear masks indoors regardless. The same goes for spectators. Inside, spectators have to be seated in family groups with 3 feet apart between them.
So student sections for basketball games may be a little bit harder to come by. However, there don't seem to be any regulations for outdoor sports, so you may want to get ready for some Friday night football under the lights. Well, here at KREM, we want to make sure we are delivering more to every story.
So if you would like to know more about the new guidelines, text the word sports to our number 509-448-2000. We'll send all that information to you right to your phone. 7:05, time for your morning rush. More news in less time.
The former White Elephant building in Spokane Valley might soon have a new purpose. It will cost the city more than $2 million, and they plan to use that space for law enforcement needs. The White Elephant closed its doors after 74 years in business last year. With the purchase of this building, the Spokane Valley Police Department will now have nearly 6 acres of property to accommodate the department's growth in the coming years.
We now know a discarded joint actually started a house fire in Pullman, displacing several students and destroying 2 houses. Investigators say that the fire was started accidentally by embers from a joint smoked by 2 visitors. They were able to determine that strong winds ignited the embers, which spread quickly throughout the house. One firefighter was injured, but no one else was during this incident.
Jeopardy ended its search for Alex Trebek's successor, and the show couldn't settle on just one person. So, long-term executive producer Mike Richards will take over as the everyday host of the iconic trivia game show. Then for primetime and spin-off programming, actress Mayim Bialik will host the show. And that's your morning rush. More news in less time. Let us know what's happening in your neighborhood by using the hashtag #UpWithKREM on social media.
Donating items to charity usually gives you a pretty good feeling, but not everything is in good enough shape to resell.
Yeah, so a local veterans thrift store is shelling out thousands of dollars actually a month in landfill runs. Nicole Hernandez is live from the store now to explain how this is affecting their business. Good morning, Nicole.
Yeah, good morning, guys. So it looks like the Veterans Thrift Store here was actually able to make one of those excuse me, a fly just landed on my foot, a landfill run here pretty recently. So there's actually not much junk sitting out right now, but take a look at this video that we got from back on Monday. You can see just how much trash is along their fence line and just sitting on their property from people donating. So the owner, Kevin Oxley, says they've been getting a lot more of this trash recently. Back when they first opened 5 years ago, Oxley said people were donating some decent stuff, but now he says 25 to 30% of what's getting donated he can't sell. He thinks that's because most other thrift stores in our area stopped taking donations during COVID, but Oxley didn't. He stayed open. Last month, Oxley spent almost $5,000 just to haul away the trash people tried to donate. That makes running his business hard because he also lets veterans shop for free here. He does have a partnership with an organization that will take overflow clothes and shoes, donating them to other countries, but Oxley says that's not enough.
With all the new people that know about us, which is great because we serve more veterans and we serve the public better, but we're also getting a lot of the donations that people just would normally throw away. They use me for a dump.
Yeah, so this here behind me is the dumpster that they actually fill up when they get this trash. You can see just how large it is, obviously very tall, also goes way far down. It's super long as well. They're filling these things up twice a week at each of their stores. They have 2 stores, one here at Havana and Sprague, one up closer to Joe Albee near the VA. And you can imagine that would cost a lot of money because every single time they have to take one of these full dumpsters to the landfill, it costs them $700. So it definitely adds up for the business. Live in Spokane, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
Very frustrating, Nicole. Thank you. Well, this week's heat wave will cause cooling centers to reopen. Where and when you can have a chance to cool off in the Spokane area, and how the city is making sure you have transportation.
And speaking of heat, we stay hot into the weekend. Temperatures soar to the triple digits tomorrow and Saturday. But notice the drop between Saturday and Sunday. As we fall back down near 90s, something interesting happens in the atmosphere. I'll let you know what that is coming up.